we have 12 minutes left in the session. So I will leave that for questions, reflections, comments from the audience on the floor. So if anybody would like to contribute, please raise your hand and unmute, and please go ahead. Any questions or reflections or comments? Okay. Can everybody hear me? Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please go ahead, Carol.
Okay, I was just struck, really. I mean, as Dr. Gehan says, by just how many we've been divided, if you like, by borders, but just how much all of what you were saying, elements of what everybody was saying, I could relate to structurally. Here, with the story that you were telling about Erbil, I could swap, you know, stories for the expansion of the city from a citadel. Take it from Irbid or Damascus, or where you have, you know, certain families who are within, and then the massive expansion that has taken place, the move from the countryside, the move of academics to different parts of the region and outside, just through events. And where can people find safe places not only to be, but to share ideas as well, and these comparisons, and also just the incredible sort of stories of perhaps overused word resilience that everybody was saying. And I think one of the things questions again that I've asked myself is, you know, at times of conflict, when you're just trying to make sure that people have a place to, or disaster, Beirut, have a place to live, shelter, enough food, heritage feels heritage can feel very distant and not even necessary. But what we now very much know, and what I've learned, is that in time it's absolutely necessary. There are Syrian artists in Zaatari camp drawing pictures and selling art of all the major sites in Syria. There are cooking clubs who are doing all the regional variations of what I in Jordan would call mansa. And I can't, is it for shakriya in Syria or something? It's basically meat, huge amounts of meat cooked in laban, in milk product. And so I think that what I'd like to do is kind of just the humanitarian and heritage is adding this dimension of time and something that's not always looked on favorably in anthropology, of this cross-cultural, cross-regional comparison that our network can do. So I feel like I've just extended my talk, but it's an observation, yes.
Yeah. And just to reflect to the discussion we had in the morning in the first panel, when we were talking about how do we phrase, how do we describe humanitarian heritage, and I think we came to an idea that humanitarian heritage is about people. It's not about the buildings, it's not about the physicalities as much as it's about embedding the people in the process of living that heritage, and the heritage itself being part of their everyday practices. And I think that came across a lot of the presentations that I've been hearing all the day. And most of us are touch basing on the memory of places. What are the narratives of the places? We're talking about different contexts. We're talking about close areas. We're talking about far areas, but there is always usually a common thread, a common narrative behind each story of those. So, and really, when Dr. Mahmoud in the first session, when he was talking about the questions that he was asking different stakeholders, and that's extremely fascinating because myself, when I was reading the questions, I felt that they are really stressing and touch basing extremely emotional stimulation of people. Okay, just showing them an image of a destroyed or a damaged building as if you're showing them somebody who has been hurt, who has been in a severe bad condition, and you're telling them, do we save him or not? So, and what is more fascinating is that when you see people are disconnected from that narrative, disconnected from that story, maybe probably because simply they don't know about it. They don't know what that place is. They don't know what the significance is. It. They didn't live it. They were disconnected completely, whether physically or not. So, for example, some of us will be living closely to some of those areas and sites or buildings, so we know them by heart. Just crossing in front of them every day, it's in our memory every day. So we are part of that narrative. We're part of that heritage. But if we're disconnected from it, how can we know about it? So, and I think that's a thing, that's a question, or that's a big responsibility on researchers, academics, stakeholders, policymakers, and people gathering today in this webinar to say, okay, how can we change this? How can we make a really good transformation of that mental image, of that emotional connection and to any of those places? So some way or another, there is a role from our side to contribute towards that change and that transformation to take further. And I think that again builds up to the notion and the concept of humanitarian heritage, of how it could be about people. How can it aid the people to make that change? Because on our own, we can't do that, but it needs to be long-term, it needs to be sustainable, and it needs the right ways and the right methods to be implemented and done. So how can we have the children engaged in that through educational channels, the youth, even the senior elderly citizens as well? So we're talking about all styles, all genders, and all ages as well. So that will be my reflection on the talks that we had in the session today. But really, I can see two hands over here. So first, it's okay. We have 5 minutes left, so we will go one by one. Dr. Mahmoud, do you have a comment or a question?
Yes, I have a comment to add. An experience. I was asked in Mosul University a question what to do and how to see the damages. They were talking about the minaret, the Jama' al-Nuri. So I said it is a battle, and after the battle, human beings come out either dead or injured or crippled. So the injured can be treated, the crippled can get a stick and walk around with a limited activity, and the dead, we can bury them and put their image in a golden, let's say, frame and put it in the on the wall. So this is the outcome of what happens to the built heritage and also to the memories that is related to such a heritage. Um, However it is, if it is very dear heritage, the frame will be golden. If it is not a dear heritage, it can be put as a photo in an album. So I think this is what is going on, and I feel pity for the for Mosul City where I was born, and the photos that Dr. Saba showed. I used to hang around there when I was a children, and I have a lot of memories, but it's not there. So we are not building new memories. We are not creating new memories. And actually, the heritage is an experience, and I think this collective memory, as said by Dr. Saba, is a very essential issue. But my problem is how to detect this collective memory, and this is by the suggested method was by using the semantic differential scale. It's a suggestion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mahmoud. We have a hand raised here, research panel 2. Is that someone from the team?
He left, actually. They left.
I think the voice is breaking.
Hear me? Oh, okay. I'm back.
Hello, I've got a question for Dr. Mahmoud Al-Khayyat and all the other academics in this panel. He was talking about his students in Erbil and how they were disconnected from the cultural heritage in the city, and how do they have different appreciation to what should be preserved and what shouldn't. I was just wondering if there is any kind of improving for the curriculum we teach for our students at the university, or is there a big gap that we need to fill to make the students appreciate heritage and cultural heritage even more? Because as we see, all new cities, all new urban buildings that has been added now to the images he showed was all done by architects who just, I can't say recently graduated, but they are architects who have been under our eyes, teaching them all the time. And this was the result of their architectural work. So maybe we have less power on their collective memory, on their emotions, on their perception. I think the upper hand here goes to global architecture, to modern movements that make those students feel that they have to be very different and unique in their designs, merging with context, feeding back, talking, communicating with the narrative of the space is not something that new architects are aiming to do. They only want to be different, to show themselves as individuals, to be, famous as Zaha Hadid or any other icon in architecture. So maybe we need to reconsider the curriculum we teach them at university to, maybe merge themselves more with heritage and culture.
All right. Thanks a lot for this comment, but I'm just cautious of time, and the last panel already started, and I think we all need to move there. So I'm sorry that I will have to end this interesting and amazing session here, and wish to thank everyone and all the speakers for your amazing and fascinating presentations and connecting with you all, and hope to always keep in touch. So thank you very much, everyone. If you can leave this room now and join the other link from the program, I'll see you there and catch up there. Thank you so much once again. Thanks a lot. All the best.
Yeah.